Hey everyone, my name is Danilo Petrovic.
I'm Ilya Marchenko.
I'm Denis Kudla.
I'm Evgeny Donskoy.
I'm Henry Laaksonen.
I'm Peter Torebko, and you're listening to the Game to Love podcast.
Hey, welcome back, tennis fans. Here we are for some breaking news. It is Novak Djokovic who has confirmed that he will not be vaccinated and he is prepared to miss Grand Slams if it is going to be, mandate for him to have it to be able to enter these tournaments. Crazy, AJG.
Well, we're back again. We're back again for more Djokovic drama. We're going to be bringing in John shortly as well. The big news breaking today. He's broken his silence. We've finally heard from Novak Djokovic. So many people have been wondering what he has to say during all of this time. Of course, if we wind it back, he wasn't able to play Australian Open. He was given an exemption to go there, then deported. And he's since come out in this BBC interview, which we've only seen sort of segments of. The full one will be airing later on tonight. And I'm looking forward to that and hearing it sort of in context and in full, rather than just the clips. But it seems to me that he is prioritizing his beliefs. He's prioritizing his body and his principles as a man of, I do not want to be vaccinated. I'm not sure about the vaccine and it's not something I'm willing to take yet. His priority is that. And if it means he's not going to be able to compete in future Grand Slams, Masters events and other big tournaments, he's not going to take part in them, which is pretty crazy. And I feel a bit sorry for a lot of the Djokovic fans. I know some of them are looking this as sort of a badge of honor. They're wearing it on their on their chest with pride. I'm not sure if that's maybe the right approach to be taken. I think really you should feel a bit more upset and disappointed because Djokovic is definitely in the contention for the best player ever to grace the game. And he's so close to sort of getting them top Grand Slams. It's a shame he's not going to be competing in them. Roland Garros this year, Rafael Nadal has just gone to his backyard in Australia, which he's been winning all of these Grand Slams. You'd think he'd want to do the same to Nadal at all costs. Whatever it takes, you'd think he needs to be at Roland Garros to be there and compete and take a slam back off Rafa and sort of level it up again. But that doesn't seem to be the priority. And I think you should be a bit upset and disappointed with that regard, because we want to see the best players competing for these slams. And ultimately, with his personal beliefs on his body, which you have to respect, of course, I'm not saying he should be vaccinated. He's totally within his right to be able to say he doesn't want the vaccine. We will miss out on that.
Well, I think another thing that is notable as well, he is the reigning defending champion, or was, of 3 Grand Slams as well. Australia, that one's gone. Roland Garros, he's defending champion. That's up next. Wimbledon, he's defending champion as well. This is, all of his fans are going to want to see him at these, defending these titles. He was finally able to defeat Rafa in the semi-final at Roland Garros. It was the best match maybe of all time. We want to see that again. I mean, I want to see him there. Obviously, we don't know the exact ins and outs of what's going to happen at the French Open yet. So we'll have to cross that bridge when we come to it. But at the moment, it's not looking great. That's all I can say.
Yeah, certainly isn't. Djokovic has spoken. Before we get Djokovic in, let's bring in John Silk, who's waiting in the wings, and let's hear what he has to say. Of course, it wouldn't be a Djokovic podcast without him. So welcome to the stream, John.
Good afternoon. How's it going?
Very well.
Yeah, I think I would echo most of what you've said, really. I think we all want to see the best players in the world play the best tournaments in the world, and the French Open, Wimbledon, US Open are among those. And I must say that the whole Australian Open saga beforehand was getting a bit tiresome, and I couldn't wait for the tennis to begin.
Yep.
Whether Djokovic was there or not, in the end, I became less interested in to some extent. But I actually would like to see him play the French, because, as you said, that match last year was unbelievable. We just had an unbelievable tournament in Australia. We had an unbelievable final in so many ways. And I want to keep that momentum going. And I think Djokovic is an integral part of tennis today.
Yeah, we've got a few Djokovic fans in the chat, to be expected. Slavisa here saying, I'm a Novak fan and I support him. He didn't choose to not play. They forced him not to play. So I'm not sad. I'm proud of him because he refused to be blackmailed. And I've seen this stance from a lot of Djokovic fans. My question to you is, I'm not sure why. Is there not a level of real disappointment? I'm trying to put it from my perspective. If Rafael Nadal's doing this right now, I'm disappointed more than any other emotion. I want to see my favorite player competing for slams. I want to silence the fans of all of the other players who, for eternity, are always going to be saying, "Oh, he didn't quite get the overall Grand Slams," and it's well within his right to. He's just won Roland Garros. He's the reigning champion for it. He's the best. He's going to be one of the favourites in every single tournament he goes into. He's playing. He's in the peak of his career. He's physically fit. The next gen, we're looking at them and they're having wobbles left, right, and centre. They don't look that solid. Djokovic is missing out on a big opportunity. I think you should feel very, very upset and a bit frustrated with this decision more than anything. That should be the overriding emotion.
Somehow I have seen some. It's not a very loud, of course, because the proud ones, if you like, are the loudest. But I have seen one or two, not many, but one or two on Twitter that I knew as fairly loyal fans, albeit not Serbians. And they have expressed, I remember them expressing just as the Australian Open was getting underway and also as it concluded, saying, I do hope now that he goes and gets vaccinated. And I do think inwardly, some of these people that are still saying they're proud of him and his convictions, I do think inwardly, if you said to them, Djokovic is going to get vaccinated, he's going to play the French Open, would you rather have that? Or would you rather have him not get vaccinated and not play? I think inwardly they do think that too, but outwardly, of course, it's very different.
Yeah, we've got Bozadar here saying, I'm disappointed, but I understand him. Do you want to say something about that, Ben?
Yeah, well, I was just going to say I'll echo what John's saying. He is much loved because of his stance, isn't he? On like how it's like his stance on vaccination, but his stance on a lot of things. That is like part of what his fans love about him is when he has a stance, he sticks to it. He's a man of his word. And I think something that we should all say to, or me and John should say to JG is probably JG was right from the start, which I don't think we can say too often. So we'll say it now. You actually said it from the first podcast in December that you'd said
JG, look at JG. He's loved.
You said he's not going to get vaccinated. He never will, and he's a man of his word. And it's turned out that you're exactly right, mate.
Yeah, he was.
And that's what the fans love about him. Like that's his true supporters love the fact that he is like that. And I don't think it will turn any of the real true Djokovic fans, because I saw some of them saying this is sort of bigger than tennis now. This is about sort of humanity now. And sort of he has now become he's more like a world figure now than it is a sports figure.
It's political as well. It's gone down a different kind of realm.
Yeah.
Ultimately, though, these fans, they must value his success on the court greater than anything else. That's got to be the most important thing.
And it is, because you saw the reaction as Nadal was heading towards his 21st slam. You saw his reaction afterwards. I get it, but it does matter. And we know it. We know it matters.
Yeah. Let's see what he's had to say, because he has recently tweeted. I believe this was about 2 hours ago now. He said, I'm grateful for the opportunity to answer questions from Amol Rajan, very good interviewer as well and journalist. I thought he did a fantastic job. Look forward to the full interview later on tonight on BBC. He said, and he's just sort of advertising it as well, just making sure the people are going to be watching it. Watch the full interview tonight, 8:30 GMT on BBC One in the UK and BBC World. And just going down, Ben.
Yeah.
He then says, thank you to my fans who supported me over the past few weeks. I appreciate your patience. But yeah, anyway, what do you think, Ben?
Well, about his statement, I mean, it doesn't really say much. We need to see the full interview, don't we? That's the main thing. It's like it's going to be coming. We've seen little clips. They're very good clips. Let me, everybody I'm sure has looked at those little clips already. I think when he sort of alludes to being an elite athlete as well, that was one of the main things he was touching on in the interview. He was saying, I'm very, very cautious of all the things that go in and out of my body, because this is just one of those this is one of those things that it's made him become the greatest player. He's super, super careful with everything. It's like a fine-tuned machine. He's just every tiny little bit, every speck, everything that goes in made him win those 3 Grand Slams in a year, nearly the calendar year slam. If he maybe gets the vaccine, maybe he doesn't win any more slams. That's probably what's going through his head. He doesn't know how he's going to react. We all know some people react very badly to the vaccine, and he's not prepared to take the risk.
Yeah, I just want to clarify one thing as well. He's been emphasizing throughout the whole interview, from what we've seen of it, that he's not an anti-vax figure. He doesn't support the anti-vax movement. Himself just does not want to take the vaccine for personal reasons, and the fact that he doesn't believe that it should be mandated. I think that is the big thing to sort of emphasize. Yeah. He doesn't believe in the use of mandated vaccines, and for that, I can understand his approach. I still strongly stand with the scientists, and I think it is the best thing for people to be getting the vaccine, but it's ultimately your choice. And I can respect him for that. He has the freedom of choice. It's his body. He can choose what he puts into the body, but there will be consequences to that. Just like because he's not taken the vaccine, the consequences will be that there's certain events in certain countries that won't allow him to play or won't allow him into the country. And that's what he's going to have to now deal with.
Yeah.
For now, I know that one of the strongest takes from this interview, by the way, I think you're right. I've liked what I've seen so far from the interview. So far, I think I've seen about 11 minutes of what is an hour-long interview altogether, if I'm right. I like Djokovic's tone as well. I like the way that he addresses Amol by his first name. I've seen 10 minutes of it, and he mentions him by his first name at least once during that 10 minutes, which is just nice. And I think it's important. But yeah, what I was saying initially is we don't really know. I think New York would be the one most in doubt, but I think even entry requirements to the UK right now, for example, if I'm right, I think if it hasn't happened already, it's very imminent that maybe you don't need to be vaccinated to enter the UK soon. So
yeah,
listen,
exactly.
I think Wimbledon's going to be okay, and I think it's a good point you're making. What I was saying is for right now. Things are due to change. You'd have to think eventually this COVID stuff is going to start to go away and fade into the distance, and we may be able to return to some kind of normality until something else arrives.
I've seen a tweet that suggests that Madrid, which he didn't play last year anyway, I think Monte Carlo and Rome, as well as Indian Wells, these are sort of in doubt, let's say, right now. And that's all we can talk about the next few weeks.
Yeah, let's have a look at the article. So this is what he said. I'm not anti-vax, but will sacrifice trophies if told to get the jab. So that is the headline. He's putting his beliefs before anything else. So you've got to respect him for that. He's consistent with what he's saying. I like a man who's true to their word. I've got to say that. And as much as I'm not always his biggest fan, listen, he's doing what he's doing. He's very stubborn. I'm very stubborn as well. Fair play.
Yeah, that's the one thing I touched on earlier. He's going to stick to his guns, and I think if he didn't, he would be in a so-called no man's land. Really, he's taken this stance, and he has the backing of all of these people who are against. Yeah, like we've got Yugoslav there saying proud to stand with Novak. There's been a lot of this over the whole of the trial in Australia. If he suddenly came out and actually got vaccinated and just went against all of the stuff, I think he's angered enough people to have taken the stance not to get it in the first place, and then he'll anger all the people who were backing him, and so he'll end up in like a sort of purgatory in the middle, floating around. And I don't know if he'll have the support of anyone then. So it's a bit of a you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, really. So at least if he sticks to his guns, he has the backing of all of the people who have supported him through all of this.
Yeah. We've got, this is the most shocking thing to me, reading this. Djokovic asked if he would sacrifice taking part in competitions such as Wimbledon and the French Open over his stance on the vaccine. He replies, yes, that is the price I'm willing to pay. I find that just shocking. I just genuinely cannot believe. I understand why he's doing it. I understand he's sticking to his belief, but to be missing out on an opportunity of a lifetime, and he is one of the best players in the world right now. Him and Nadal, for me, they can have just a fantastic battle. And he beat him last time at Roland Garros. Surely you just do not want to put that into any kind of doubt that you're not going to be able to be there. I have seen some reports today as well that France, I'm not sure how true this is, but a few days ago, they are sort of backing down on the fact that they're going to be mandating vaccines soon. So it's kind of very fitting that this is coming out after that. Is Djokovic? Why is this timing? You got to always remember with the news.
Yeah,
there's always a timing for news. It's like to distract from what's going on. We're hearing what's happening with Putin and Russia. Now that's not the most important thing right now. The most important thing is Novak Djokovic. Everyone's talking about this. It's on the front page, and he's doing this. Is it after the fact that these countries? He's already had some indication from Wimbledon and Roland Garros. Don't worry, mate. You can come out with this story now because you're going to be allowed to come in anyway. We're going to be dropping the rules with the vaccine soon. Has he got some inside knowledge that he knows that's going to be the case, and he's able to report on this now?
It's a good point. When was do we know when this exactly was filmed and when this interview actually took place? Is there any way we would find out?
Don't know. That might emerge tonight, but I think it's super recent. I mean, we're talking in the last few days, I would imagine. Just regarding what JG said there, and regarding vaccine mandates, I don't know France specifically, but generally France, like most of the EU, will toe the line, and the EU have certainly reeled in their view on vaccine mandates. About a week ago, a top official said something along the lines of, "We don't think it looks like it's going to be necessary. We still want you to get vaccinated. We still think it's a good idea, but regarding vaccine mandates." So I do think if listen, it's impossible to tell. We've seen so many twists and turns with this virus. But if you said to me, John, as a betting man, the 3 slams coming up, I think right now I would guess that he'd probably be okay for the French and Wimbledon, but I would have severe doubts about the US and New York just because of the distance, etc.
Yeah, so the reason I say that is because I think that could be the case. Obviously, this is still speculation. I know we do this a lot on the podcast. We don't know all the ins and outs. This is what we do. We're a podcast. We're not always speaking facts. We do speculate a lot. And my speculation is, I think he has had some kind of indication that potentially it's not going to be mandated for him to be vaccinated to play some of these events. So it's very fitting for him to say this now because he knows it's not going to really have much effect.
It's possible. I mean, the Wimbledon one, I think, is probably more nearly certain. I think they'll play Wimbledon than any of them.
Henman said the same. Henman has already said in reaction to this interview that something along the lines that he doesn't think it'll be a problem at Wimbledon. Of course, that's right now. Who knows what it'll be like in 3 months.
But still, it is crazy that he's saying that he is going to sacrifice the potential of playing a Grand Slam over his beliefs. But that's what he said. So moving down here, he said, "I was never against vaccination." He told the BBC, confirming that he'd had vaccines as a child, but I've always supported the freedom to choose what you put in your body.
Yeah, going back to him being the elite athlete again, finely tuned machine. And he measures everything, I'm sure, that goes in. He obviously has like a whole team of doctors, scientists. He's like a science project, let's say, that has ultimately produced one of the best sports players ever in history. So
the vaccine. Sorry, Ben, go on.
No,
the vaccine stance, I think, does come down to this key moment in his career about 2008, 2009, something like that. That I'm sure until that point he was probably doing most of what we would call taking the conventional medicines that we know of today, like vaccines and other medicines, etc. But he had this moment in about 2008, 2009 with a guru who really took him to a new level, having seen how tired he got during 1-2 matches, I think, in Australia. But don't forget, he did relent regarding the elbow. He was really reluctant to get. Obviously, it's an operation, so he has to have an injection to put him to sleep during the operation, or at least a local anesthetic of some sort, probably more wide-reaching than that. So we have seen him before, but maybe he's more.
And you've got to remember, just on this elbow operation he had, it was more recent. So he seems to have formed these views a lot more recently. That was 2018 time, I believe. And prior to having that, I don't know if everyone knows this, but he was crying. He was very upset about the prospect of having to be operated on. He believes in sort of natural remedies. He's got his own beliefs regarding to medication. And ultimately, the vaccine comes under that umbrella because he doesn't want to be vaccinated. He's not against. It's very difficult, the wording of all of this, because ultimately, if you don't want to be vaccinated, does that not make you an anti-vax person?
No, because I think that's the sentiment that you're putting upon. It's like you're putting your views onto other people, like you're saying that they shouldn't be as well, which he's never said that. He's only said that he believes in free choice, and he's choosing not to. He thinks that other people can if they want to.
Then in that case, Ben, I'm going to put this to you, John, quick.
Go on.
Should he not have been deported from Australia then? Because the reason he was deported wasn't because of his visa, wasn't to do with the exemption. It was because he held anti-vax sentiment in Australia, and they believed that he would pass on the message of an anti-vax sort of face and would cause more people to sort of follow that ideology. So do you believe on that basis that he's not that, like he claims he isn't, and that he shouldn't have been deported?
I think there's two things. First of all, I'm not sure that he should have been deported. But secondly, it's not that he was anti-vax necessarily, but their argument was that he would carry a face, as you said, for an anti-vax sentiment or an anti-vax movement. And I still think this interview today supports that. That's, if I'm an anti-vaxxer, that's how I will take this, and that will make me even more determined. If he just said, you know what, I am thinking about getting vaccinated. His biographer, by the way, who is obviously somebody who's looking for attention, because 2 or 3 days ago, his biographer or one of his biographers came out and said, oh, yeah, he's going to get vaccinated, which is obviously not true. But they were obviously looking for a bit of attention. But for sure, his stance does have an effect on people. And we're seeing in the chat, if he came out today and said, yeah, I've got vaccinated so I can play at Indian Wells, we wouldn't get all these comments that we see in the chat. We wouldn't get all these comments on Twitter. So whether he likes it or not, he does have an effect on people. And the number of vaccinated people in Serbia is pretty low compared to the rest of Europe.
Yeah, he's gone on there to say that he reckons he can still play for many more years. He believes in his body, that he's got some kind of duration there. We know Roger Federer sort of, I don't know, when did it sort of end for him? A few years ago.
39.
Competitive. You can't really say that because 2019 he was within touching distance of winning the Grand Slam, but I don't really feel like he was competitive that year. But it's hard to say that he wasn't.
Yeah, I think he was. I think he was in literally one point away.
It's a bit of a
He also got to the semi-finals in Australia in 2020, which was 6 months later.
Yeah.
Beat Djokovic ATP Tour finals that year as well, 2019.
Yeah, and you'd have to say Djokovic's game, it does seem that the way he is moving at his age right now, he does have plenty of years to still go. So even if this is sort of a write-off for this year, you'd expect him still to be very fit and fully ready to go again next year. And still kind of in pole position to be able to take the overall slam race. Although, listen, I'm hoping Rafa can have something to say about it. And I think he's proved enough this year that he certainly could do. But maybe it's not going to be as long as, my theory is it's not going to be as long as even that. I think he's going to still be able to play the slams this year. And that's why it's pretty fitting he's coming out with this interview now, because it's a bit of a nothing interview, because he's going to be allowed to play anyway. That's why he's come out and said all these things. But that's just my opinion on it. Don't know if everyone agrees.
Yeah, no, I think we'll see him. Well, let's see. The way it's going right now with the virus, it's looking good at the moment. Things can change, but the foreseeable future in Europe, at least, I see him being able to play some tournaments. Indian Wells, definitely not. Yeah. But yeah, could be good pretty soon for him.
Yeah, we've got Gene in saying he isn't telling anyone not to get vaccinated. That's a good point. We have touched on that. Appreciate that, Gene. That's something he's not ever come out and said. Even in this interview, he's not there saying, I believe you should stand with me and not get your vaccine. Everyone, do not listen to them. He's not doing anything of the sort. He's just talking about his own experience and what he wants to do with his own body. So that's important to note that as well.
Yep. And he goes on to say, because the principles of decision-making on my body are more important than any title or anything else, I'm trying to be in tune with my body as much as I possibly can. And that's, like you were saying, he's had this person come in like a guru who's sort of made him believe more in like natural healing abilities, this type of thing. And he does seem a lot more in tune with his body since, or in the past, say 10 years than ever before. So I can understand where he's coming from in that respect, because he wouldn't have been winning this many Grand Slams if he wasn't doing something right.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving down. Next section.
So Djokovic said he had always been a great student of wellness, well-being, health, nutrition, and that his decision had been partly influenced by a positive impact that factors such as changing his diet and his sleeping patterns have had on his abilities as an athlete. We've kind of spoke about that. He said he was keeping his mind open about the possibility of being vaccinated in the future, because we are all trying to find collectively a best possible solution to end COVID. And I mean, this is something which sort of John brought to light just before we went live. And I'm a little bit surprised reading it. So I've not had much time to think about it. I didn't expect him to come out with this. Is it just a case he's saying this as a tick box? Would he really get vaccinated? I feel like he's gone so far for him to say that he's got an open mind with that. I don't think I necessarily believe him what he's saying here.
No, and I saw a doctor on the BBC website basically saying, what is he waiting for? This is, I think 50% of the globe has now received at least one shot. So we're talking about 3.5 to 4 billion arms it's gone into. I think he's probably hoping, like we all are, that this situation continues to get better, and that he will be able to play tournaments unvaccinated. I think.
But is he taking that stance because his sort of his stance is he's for free choice and against vaccine mandates? So this does still suggest that he is always open-minded. If he's just against the mandatory vaccines, he's not saying that he's against vaccines in general. So
Gotcha,
that type of, he's sort of keeping it open in that respect. But he's at the moment he's taking the stance maybe he's saying when he retires he'll take vaccines, like that type of thing.
I mean, I'm broadly against vaccine mandates, but I'm also in favor of getting vaccinated. Whereas he's broadly in favor of not getting vaccinated, and he's also not in favor of vaccine mandates. So there is two different things there. He's keeping his mind open. Never say never. You know, you could certainly offer me a particular drug right now that I wouldn't be prepared to take, but I wouldn't ever say never if the evidence suggested it was good.
But do you not think that he thinks that this is going to affect his performance? So what if he has vaccines? He doesn't want vaccines whilst he's still in his tennis career. After his tennis career, he'd be like, go on, jab away.
Yeah.
Could be, but then I think he might say that as well.
You don't know. It's speculation.
I can't see him ever getting vaccinated, but let's just wait and see. He was saying, I'm never against vaccination. I understand that globally, everyone is trying to put a big effort into handling this virus and seeing, hopefully, an end to soon this virus. Listen, is everyone really doing their best effort? Because he was walking around doing an Equip interview while he was positive. I hate to bring it up, but there's some things he says here which I feel you necessarily weren't doing your bit. That's the thing.
Right, the vaccination, he said, is one of the biggest efforts we've made. It sounds like he's almost endorsing the vaccination when he said that. And I will just say one of the things that he mentioned. He says that he takes COVID very seriously, taking PCR tests regularly, blah, blah, blah. Fine. Let's believe that to the point. But as you say, JG, he can't take it that seriously if he's hanging out with kids the day after he tests positive, followed by the day after that with a L'Equipe interview.
Yeah, so you've got to call him out on certain bits. I can't see logical sense. I feel like, Ben, you can't read this and think it doesn't really sit right with me, does it? Does it sit right with you?
I don't. That never sat right with me. I mean, I was, even when we were doing the whole trial things and the whole things through Australia, that was the one thing I sort of defend Djokovic up to a point, but as soon as it came out that he was positive and he was knowingly going around, I think that was the only bit that you can't there's no defending it. And
yeah, I think that's right, Ben.
I was disappointed. I felt a bit let down for sticking up for him in a lot of it. Once that came out a bit, so I was more disappointed was the word, but it was like it disrespected the rules really that were in place, and he admitted it, and he came out and he had fully admitted it. He was wrong, but it cast like a black cloud over everything else after that.
Yeah. Certainly did. Let's move down. There is of course videos for people who do want to check this out. Just on Google, I'm sure you can find the BBC article, or on Twitter. It's posted kind of everywhere, so you can't really miss it. And it is a good read, and you can watch some of the videos as well. Unfortunately, we're not able to show them for you here. Where's the next quote? Do you want to read it?
I don't think this one's got any
quotes. Maybe you just get down to one, Ben.
Yeah, let me just find where the next bit is. Apologies. That one's just
up.
There you go.
Okay. So here we go. Some had suggested that it had been convenient that Djokovic's positive COVID test in December had occurred just in time for him to be granted a medical exemption to attend the Open. This is something we spoke about religiously on the podcast. I believe John had a lot to say. You had a lot to say, Ben, as well. Yeah. And we was talking about the timing of him getting that positive COVID test. I'm glad the interviewer, and this is why I said I thought he did a very good job. I thought he was pretty direct with his questioning, and that's why I'm looking forward to the full interview tonight. He did a very good job, and I'm interested to see all of it because we're only seeing these snippets here. And he answered this saying, I understand that there's a lot of criticism, and I understand that people come out with different theories on how lucky I was and how convenient it is. But no one is lucky and convenient of getting COVID. Millions of people have and are still struggling with COVID around the world. So I take this very seriously. I really don't like someone thinking I've misused something or in my own favor in order to, get a positive PCR test and eventually go to Australia. So he's flat out declining the fact that it was ever a fake positive. He didn't want to get be positive with COVID, but it just happened that way.
So I do have a question, actually, a very, very pertinent question, which, by the way, I hope in the fullness of time during the hour-long interview, Djokovic is asked, and I would imagine this would be the perfect juncture to do so. So my first question would be at this point to Novak, if I was lucky enough to be there, I would say, did you definitely test positive for COVID on the 16th of December? At which point he would almost certainly, as he says here, he would say yes. I would then say, how then did you get your exemption before the 10th of December, which was the deadline? Tennis Australia said that you had to have it. And that's something that it might not be his fault necessarily, but then that would bring Craig Tiley into Tennis
Did he
Australia.
Get his exemption on the 10th of December? Or did he
that was the deadline.
That was the deadline. You had to.
So you need to clarify, he filed for his exemption then. He didn't necessarily get the exemption then. So he filed
Right, okay, so he files for his
before
exemption.
He's actually got tested positive. So that is a
So
good
how
question.
do you file for your exemption? What was the exemption you filed under on the 9th of December or before?
Exactly. I mean, that's only his team can answer that.
Was he chancing it? A lot of people are saying he was just chancing his arm.
I don't think he'll get asked that question in the hour-long interview. That's my suspicion, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
we've got Sir Edgar saying, agree, JG. This just doesn't sit well. What the hell? He never want to get vaccinated. If he's concerned about his body performance or medical condition, is it based on advices from his doctors or his assumption?
I mean, I've seen Pam Shriver come out, and I've seen a few people come out in the last few days saying that they would love to see some of the people that are close to him. Marian Vada, I'm trying to get the pronunciation right there. He's one of his two principal coaches, Goran Ivanisevic, of course, who certainly Ivanisevic anyway, I know is vaccinated. And of course, Pam Shriver, and among others, is saying it would be great if they could speak to him, but I think you've got two things. I think if they have spoken to him, they've already done so. Yeah. First of all, generally, when you're somebody as single-minded as Djokovic, probably the people around you are, they're not going to challenge you that much.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to hear from them either. They will be.
That they may go on. Even it might say, "Yeah, I got vaccinated," but Novak is Novak,
and no comment.
Do you think he's going to be asked that question? What John posed, Ben?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. That's just a guess. But...
No idea, mate. That's one of those things. It's a very interesting point, but I have no idea. But he's denying the facts that he got it on purpose at that date or that type of thing. It's all up in the air, mate. I can't even make a comment on it because I think it's just such a speculation, that one, that it just doesn't add up. That's all. Yeah. I would love to hear an honest opinion.
Yeah, just going up, Ben. I think you just missed one. So just at the top here, he said, asked if he was aware of any attempt to tamper with either of the tests he had done for COVID earlier this month. BBC Research cast doubt on the timing of a positive test because they did release another article with talking about the timing, and he flatly said no. He didn't really elaborate on his answers. He just said no. And then moving down, he said, so he also went into further detail about his time spent in detention while in Melbourne last month. I was really sad and disappointed with the way it all ended for me in Australia. It wasn't easy. And I don't doubt it was easy. It was definitely a very tough situation to be in. And I feel very sorry for all the other refugees. I feel like maybe we've not spoken about them enough. What has been done for them who are still in Australia, still suffering? Novak Djokovic has got out of the situation. There's a lot of other refugees out there. And we do have a platform. I know it's not the biggest YouTube channel in the world. And if we can do something positive and sort of bring light to the refugee situation, not just in Australia, but across the world, then I think we certainly should take the opportunity to do so.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if that gets sort of...
me too.
If anything like that comes up in the interview, does he make a point of speaking out about that and saying that he will be doing something coming up maybe for them. Because if he does, I think that's a real positive that could come out of this interview.
Definitely.
Yep. And John, just touching on what you were saying about the billions of people being vaccinated, it's 4.88 billion people. So more than 60% of the total world population have now been vaccinated. It's a pretty key number. Going down, Ben.
Yeah, it's a massive amount, that, isn't it?
There's quite a few here. The rollout began 14 months ago, and since then, evidence has shown that serious side effects have been rarely reported. So all of the data is suggesting the best thing to do is get vaccinated right now. You can't really... I don't think you can really argue with the facts and the data which presented with us. It seems to be minimalizing the amount of hospitalization, deaths, things like that. But yeah,
basically the fortunate thing for Djokovic and others as well who are not vaccinated, the fortunate thing is that 70% of Europeans, it seems at least, are vaccinated, and therefore movement now is becoming more possible and hospitalizations are pretty low.
Yep, Ben.
Mate, sorry, the doorbell was just going. I think that it is. I mean, I'm a pro-vaccine type person, so I can see that, and I've been watching a lot of doctors online, and they have been saying it does even it reduces the spread and stuff as well, and that I think is one of the key things that we all want to see, just the reduction of the spread of it. The more it goes on, the strains get less and less, and then they become more and more easily what do you call it, contagious. These spreads. I'm just hoping that soon everybody will be boosted up and everybody will have enough just to counter it, and then it's just eventually just going to disappear.
Yeah, let's move down. So here we go. So his medical exemption request was made anonymously, and it was accepted by 2 independent Australian panels. However, there was a separate travel declaration which included an error. He said, absolutely, the visa declaration error was not deliberately made. Of course, we did so many podcasts on that error. And I believe John was very vocal in the fact that he believed that it was an innocent mistake. It can easily be done when filling out these forms. And I actually agree with him as well. I can't really argue with this. I think it is an error. And I believe in the court, they didn't really have much to say with that. They kind of agreed as well. So this is a bit of a non-issue. Not something really to discuss too much. He did say it was accepted and confirmed by the federal court and the minister himself in the Ministry for Immigration in Australia. So for me, slam the hammer down, closed case on that one.
I just want to say one more thing. Of all the things that were thrown at him during this, I thought that was the most frivolous of all. That was just irrelevant.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay. Next.
So I think he says what people didn't know, but everyone knew this one, in my opinion. He's saying, so actually what people probably don't know is that I was not deported from Australia on the basis that I was not vaccinated or I broke any rules that I made in error in my visa declaration. All of that was actually approved and validated by the Federal Court of Australia and the Minister of Immigration. The reason why I was deported from Australia was because the Minister for Immigration used his discretion to cancel my visa based on his perception that I might create some anti-vax sentiment in the country or in the city, which I completely disagree with. We have spoke about that at the start. I feel like that is common knowledge. I think most people who are following this case, they all know the reason.
It is, JG, common knowledge to you and I and Ben, who followed the case quite closely. It's common knowledge probably to most of our viewers and listeners today. But there may be some Australians that didn't follow the case 100%. There were some Australians that aren't big tennis fans that just thought, oh, it's this guy Djokovic, and yeah, he's an anti-vaxxer, blah, 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 and that's why we kicked him out. We kicked him out because he broke the rules. You know what I mean? Even Morrison him said, rules are rules. So actually, he did pretty much follow the rules. So I agree. I think, when I saw that, my immediate reaction was, I think we all knew that. But then I was thinking, well, maybe there were some people who didn't.
Yeah, the main thing wasn't it? It was he came in based upon the medical exemption, and then it was the whole first part of it was all around the medical exemption. And they actually said before that final trial, the medical exemption was accepted. So he could actually play the Australian Open based upon the medical exemption. And then they said, no, we're kicking you out anyway. So it was all, so that's just what it came down to. It was nothing even to do. The first 5 days of trial stuff we did was pretty much null and void, really.
Do you know the craziest thing about all of it as well is now, I've got Freya here saying this. I know she's a bit of a Djokovic fan, I believe. So, and now Australia opens their gates for travellers.
Yeah, fully vaccinated. I think from yesterday, actually. I think certainly around now, anyway. Fully vaccinated travellers can go there. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what has the tennis world had to say? We've had loads of people sort of weighing in on the situation. Pam Shriver, Tim Henman. I don't know if you want to talk about these bits or.
I
did touch on it briefly, the Shriver thing. You know, she's saying, could someone please walk him through this and talk to him? But the trouble is, we're talking about, I mean, he's gone through all of this. I think we're beyond that stage. And I'd be shocked now if Goran Ivanisevic was just suddenly going to sit down with him and have a chat, you know, after all of this.
Yeah, I don't think anyone can have a chat. I don't see the point in this. That's why I'm not that keen on reading it out, because what is the point? Like, I think you can get one of the most senior scientists in the world. You can get the prime minister of all of the different countries, speak to him. Ultimately, he's come this far with it. He's not going to be like, you know what, Pam Shriver said I can take it. I'm starting to doubt all of these things I've done. Pam, you know what, you're right. I'm going to get vaccinated. Or he's maybe listening to the Game to Love and you think, JG, you've said it for a long time now. I'm going to do it just for you. Of course, he does not. It's not that he doesn't care. He's well within his right to have his own opinion on things. And I think the way he is as a person as well, I think he is someone who is very stubborn. He's a very stubborn man, which I don't think necessarily is always a bad thing.
Probably got him as far as it has in many ways.
Yeah, I think it's very important sometimes to be stubborn with your thoughts and the way you are as a person. It is important to be a bit flexible, and something maybe I'm not so good at myself. But he's come so far down this alley, there's no way back. I just generally believe that. He's not going to be vaccinated. He's going to continue with this regard. And I think also he is going to be able to play a lot of tennis matches and events because they're going to not mandate the vaccine for much longer.
Yeah. Moving down, we had Tim Henman as well. He was speaking. He said, let me just have a look through here.
Just quickly, Ben, we've got 12 Travel 21 saying Boris Johnson has a good rapport with Djokovic. Maybe he can talk some sense into him.
Let's not talk
How much would you pay to see an interview with Boris Johnson and Novak Djokovic? I think that would do some good numbers.
Boris Johnson. God, please give me a break on him. I can't hear any more about Boris Johnson. I swear, this is just a buffoon. I don't think Djokovic would even want to be spoken about in the same sentence. I think he sees himself as probably a better role model than Boris Johnson.
Well, they certainly have different views on alcohol, put it that way.
And we've got Mage Yang in as well, one of our members. If you want to join the membership, the link is pinned in the live chat. We will read out a lot more of the members' comments. And May here saying, do you think him not playing, let's say he can't play the entire year, would he be able to come back and win next year? Of course he can. Yeah, he will still be a favourite for the following year, probably the year after that, and even the year after that again. He is as fit as a fiddle, looking well, and I don't think he's even going to miss this year, so I can't really comment too much on that. But if he was to miss this year, it won't affect him too much. And he's still certainly in contention to take in the overall slam race.
I can already see if Djokovic was to end up even if he was to win the slam race by 1 or 2, there's always going to be it should be an extra 2 on top. It should be an extra 3 on top.
That's part of the reason I want him back as soon as possible.
Yeah. We don't want asterisks over anything. That's the thing. We don't want anybody to be saying, he wasn't in that one. He wasn't. I want them all in all of them. So we can watch all the best players play and we can say, you defeated the best. You defeated the best. And you defeated whoever was.
Listen, I've said it before.
Final.
As a big Rafa fan, my ultimate would be Djokovic to play Roland Garros and get absolutely demolished by Rafael Nadal. And that, for me, is the greatest thing I can see. I don't want to see him not there. And it's not because I want to see him get demolished because it's Djokovic. I just would love to see that because it's Rafael Nadal doing that to one of the greatest players to ever play the game. If it was Federer there, I'd like to see Nadal wreck him as well.
I don't want to see a Nadal-Gasquet final, 6-love, 6-1, 6-love.
Well, you want the 2020 final all over again, I'm sure. That's what you're dreaming of. Yeah. So, but this one, Tim Henman came out and he said he is certainly jeopardizing his chances of being the greatest male player of all time. He said, I think that speaks volumes to his courage, conviction, and belief that this is what is best for him. It does speak volumes to what he's standing for. But I'd sort of do agree with some of the sentiment that this is going to sort of affect the legacy if he does keep missing Grand Slams. Because he could have been, even if he does end up with 23 or 24, could have been 28. Could have been.
Oh yeah, it'll definitely
endless.
affect him. If he's not playing, you can always say he could have won that one. We'll never know. If buts and maybes. We've got Gene saying, JG, calm down. Sorry, Gene. I know you're a big Djokovic fan. But let's
What
move
is that
through some of these
picture
other-
that Gene has right now? Is that Djokovic on that picture?
Yeah, he's got
I think
Djokovic
so, yeah.
back now. He did have
Doing
Rafa
it.
there for a little bit, but that's gone.
Doing it.
Although he's been demoted. Now Djokovic is back in the news. Anyway, I
We've
think
got
that's-
Freya here saying it's only fair to read out the Djokovic fans once. And what if he goes there and demolishes Rafa again? Well, he did do that, of course, the year after. It wasn't really a demolished job. Poor Rafa was injured, battling through terrible injury at the time.
Oh
But
god.
yeah, no, that is
Cue.
that's possible as well.
It's
And I would
equally
cry.
possible.
You'd see me cry on the stream, but I'd have to congratulate him.
Yeah, I know. Cue the Djokovic comments now. Boom.
There we go. We've got Jugoslav. If he plays Roland Garros, he'll destroy your Rafa in pieces. Be sure on that, JG. I'll have to be here. I'll be very upset for it, and I'm sure you'll be in the live chat, Jugoslav, having the time of your life.
Wow. I think that the one thing that we want to see is because if Rafa's foot is actually back to normal, then
Well, it's not back to normal, Ben.
No, but-
Steady on with that.
Come
Steady
on.
on with it. being
we
back
just
to normal.
managed to win. He just managed to win his worst Grand
So
Slam
he's back
against.
to normal all of a sudden.
Well,
he
he
just
just managed
through
to-
the pain. He was down
Oh,
2
here we
sets
go.
to love. Have you not heard the song?
I know. Is there a song? But if it is better than it was when he did lose to Djokovic in the semi-final last year, I want to see that matchup because I think Djokovic improved from the final when he got defeated in straight sets in the next year. Despite Rafa having the foot problem, I still think Djokovic improved like completely in that match. And I want to see now a fully fit Rafa foot against an even better Djokovic on that surface. And we could get 5 sets of the one that we only had 4 sets of last time.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Oh.
We've got here another quote saying, I think this speaks volumes of his courage, conviction, and belief for what is best for him. We all agree with that. He certainly is someone who stands with his very strong beliefs, and he shows a lot of courage to do this. I just feel a little bit sorry for the Djokovic fans more than anything. I know some of you are saying you're really proud. I can understand the proud element, but I think what should be overwriting the proud emotion is just disappointment. You're not going to be able to see your man playing tennis right now. Ultimately, that's what we're all tennis fans first. You got to remember that. We love these guys off the court. We like what they stand for, but we love their tennis first because we are tennis fans, and they are popular because of how good they are at tennis. And we want to see him playing tennis because he's that good.
One of the best.
So moving down.
That's all there is.
Oh, there we go. Let's move on to the next one.
The next one, that was just a little picture just with him. Obviously, a quote from what he said. That's the price I'm willing to pay. The principles of decision-making on my body are more important than any title or anything else. I'm trying to be in tune with my body, like we saw there. And the other one's just summary on the other tab of all the stuff we've just spoken about.
Yeah.
So do you want to go through that quickly or just to summarize?
Yeah, we'll have a little look, just see what they're saying. So tennis star Novak Djokovic tells the BBC he's willing to forfeit future trophies rather than get vaccinated against COVID. In an exclusive interview, the world number one says he does not want to be associated with the anti-vaccination movement, but that he supports the individual's right to choose. We've spoke about that. Djokovic was deported from Australia in January after losing a last-ditch attempt to stay in the country and compete at the Australian Open. We spoke about Pam Shriver. We spoke about Tim Henman. BBC researchers cast doubt on the timing of the positive COVID test. We've spoke about that. And now, just leave it on this. You can watch the whole interview in a BBC One special programme on the iPlayer at 8:30 GMT on Tuesday, UK only, which is going to be interesting because that's
no watch along for that. No watch along for that.
6 hours.
I don't know if we're going to do a watch along, but we should probably do something else because there's going to be a lot of people following us who maybe aren't able to watch that. Let us know in the live chat. I don't think you can watch it then if you're not in the UK. Are you going to struggle to watch it, John?
Yeah, possibly, but I think maybe live, yes. Well, also Man United are playing Brighton tonight, so I'll probably have to skip it. But I will. Undoubtedly, there'll be lots of places around the internet to see it at some point in the coming days.
Yeah. We've got Gene in saying he would tell him to get vaccinated because he's his hero. Would he listen to me? Listen, Gene, I don't think he'll listen to anyone. He's made his decision, And I do feel sorry for you guys. You've got Sir Edgar saying VPN. Maybe that is the only option. Yeah, good luck trying to watch it. We're going to try our best to cover it, and we'll maybe do another podcast sort of just summarising the full findings later on. But for now, we'll return back to work. This was our sort of lunch break special podcast talking about all of the Djokovic saga. We thought it was over in January, but it's not. There's always going to be another addition to this saga, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's a few more. So you don't want to go anywhere. Make sure like and subscribe. Hit the bell notification to find out when we go live again. And you never know, it might even be another Djokovic one.
Indeed.
Thanks for coming on as well, John. You did a great job as always.
Thanks,
always good
John.
to hear your insight.
Cool. Thanks very much.
And we'll see you guys very soon.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.